Hey, Scott Jordan and Mark Warner for Jancast number 99, Thursday, May 20th, 2021. Let's get these things off because we are socially distanced.
We are socially distanced and we're working our way through the COVID tunnel,
Yep.
but there's a light at the other end. So,
Speaking of socially distanced, you left town last week, didn't you?
well, that's part of what's changing for 2021. We're
Yeah.
now out doing live sales calls, out doing live demos. And in my case, I was out doing some live training. And all of that dovetailed with what we've talked about in the past with the new normal, the new expectation of extreme cleanliness. So people want to do a deeper dive. They want to know, what's that mean? What's that all about?
Yeah. They want to get ready.
They want to get ready. And of course, people are picking up on the fact that I've said, like, before you do anything, do an audit, figure out where you're at, find out what your benchmark is for your level of cleanliness. If it's okay and it meets your standard, you're good to go. If it doesn't, which is what happens in most cases, you at least have a starting point, and then you can do some task inspections and uncover where some of the weaknesses might exist and then address them and set a goal for where you want your benchmark to be for cleanliness before reopening. And once you hit it, green light, you can now justify why you've opened and how you set a target benchmark and hit it. But some of the best things that come out of all that is the opportunity to uncover things that are going well and weaknesses. And in the case of the training for last week, it was great because not only were there opportunities uncover these weaknesses, but I was also in a great position to make recommendations regarding Bullen products that would help solve those challenges.
Even better.
So that worked out really good. And with all that said, of course, even products aren't without challenges these days.
Yeah, that's for sure. We're hearing about all kinds of continued raw material changes, just like everybody's talking about the cost of plywood at Home Depot. But a couple of things that we have some specialty products made for us, not even the chemical, and they're used with chemicals, but things like special mop assemblies that are made out of steel, and steel prices have gone crazy, and it's very interesting to go from not having enough of stuff to now you can kind of find what you want, but it's 5 times the price it was.
Yeah, and the questions that come up, at one point, all this was related to liquid raw materials, the chemicals themselves in the freeze in Texas. And now we're dealing with all the other shortages and price increases with plastics and jugs and caps. And I imagine even the cost of pallets is going to go up, right?
Yeah, well, it's got wood, right?
Got wood.
Yeah.
And steel, little sharp things about that long. So,
well, we're getting through it. So if anybody needs disinfectant wipes, we got plenty of them because we thought it was going to take 8 months to get our next order in, and lo and behold, it came out of nowhere. So now we've got kind of screws up your inventory mid-maxes if you think something's going to take X number of weeks to be produced, and all of a sudden, because of supply and demand has gotten caught up, the supplier thinks, oh, well, we can ship it to them in 3 days. It's like, well, how do you keep track of your mid-maxes if they're completely different than what they were before?
But there's good news, Scott.
Yeah.
There's one thing that has no shortage of supply, and the price has been going down. It's like everybody in America has got 15 masks going on these days.
Yeah, we all have our favorites, right? So what do you got there? You got 5 or 6? I got 5 or 6.
I have at least 4 right here, but I didn't dig very far to.
So how many people in the United States are there?
There's more than 10.
Yeah, so multiply 6 or 7 times whatever
it is. Yeah,
that's a lot of masks.
Yeah,
I think we're going to need to find another use for them.
I think so. Well, I know that we could actually carpet all the sidewalks with all the masks I see laying outside. But and then, of course, with more and more people getting vaccinated nowadays, less and less people needing masks. So they're going to become an even a higher level of supply and a lower level of demand.
Yeah. Well, Mark, I don't know how you feel about the whole situation with the mask thing. I know it's a lot of politics involved with it, but I appreciate the fact that this CDC has decided now that you don't need to wear a mask, but the fact that it's linked to your vaccination, but you have no idea if the person next to you is vaccinated or not. I mean, it just seems like a pretty screwy system that
Well, it's
if you
got
if you
enough.
can even call it that.
It's got everybody. Yeah, if you want to call it a system, right? It seems more like chaos.
Yeah,
But and the reason for that is there's so much confusion regarding what's
yeah,
going on now. Some other countries, what they've gone to is a platform of documentation of their shots. So whether it's a lanyard or whether it's a wallet, laminated wallet card, or whatever
yeah.
it is. In my case, I was asked to show that I
Good.
had my card and I had it with me, and that was pretty cool. And then somebody said, "Well, why do you carry it in your wallet? Why don't you just take a picture of it with your iPhone?" I was like, "Oh, yeah." so I did that. But at that point, that's what some other countries have done, and we're not doing that. And it's all about the honor system. As soon as you say somebody doesn't have to wear a mask, all of a sudden people hear nobody needs to wear a mask.
Right.
And that's not true. Now, the thing about people that are vaccinated is they don't have the ability to colonize the viruses in their sinuses and
Right.
expel viruses as a result of growing populations of viruses, let's call it. Whereas somebody that's not vaccinated, whether they're showing symptoms or not, can actually be, let's say, cultivating virus material in their sinuses, even if they're not showing any symptoms.
Yeah.
So they could still spread stuff, even though they may not get sick themselves. And one of the coolest quotes that I've seen recently is had to do with, I forget how it went exactly, but it had to do with one of the best things you can do for taking care of yourself is to make sure that you're taking care of others first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's to me what mask wearing is all about. And even though I'm double vaxxed and you're double vaxxed, we're totally immune. We would both still wear masks if it made other people comfortable in wearing their masks.
Yeah. It's
I
kind
don't
of
want to
hard
get
to. It, it's almost difficult to get out of the habit now because you and I were working in our office and it's pretty much 100% vaccinated people in our office, but you're so used to doing it that you just kind of wear it anyway.
So I have a new routine where I call it half wearing my mask. So
That's
I don't
that's
have
a
to.
fashion that's a fashion look if I've ever seen one. And if you're really cool, you switch it to the other side.
Yeah,
I
well, that
believe there's
happens
some connotation. If you wear it on this side, it means one thing. You wear it on that side, it means something else, right?
kind of like earrings and passing over the equator as a sailor or something.
I,
But
yeah, personally on the vaccine thing, I think it'd be better if it was required that you show something. Just like you go to the liquor store and certain chains, not in Pennsylvania, but like in New Jersey, certain chains they card you no matter you could be 95 years old, and obviously you're older than the drinking age, and they still card everybody, and nobody takes offense to it. Some people go, "Oh, that's so nice of you to ask for my card, even though I'm 40 years old or whatever." But I know it's a political thing, but it sure would have been a lot easier if they had some mandate of some kind put in place that prove it or lose it.
so at the liquor store, they were making a joke with me because they were doing the carding too. Some do, some don't. But
Yeah.
and a person kind of chuckled and said, "Well, uh, something about are you 21?" And I said, "I can pretty much assure you, I'm not 21." So, and
Well,
everybody chuckled and we moved on. But
but
the idea of having to document that, I think there's a lot of validity to that, as I
yeah,
think when you have a dual standard where some people can wear masks and other people don't have to wear a mask, regardless of the reason for it, you end up with controversy.
yeah,
And I, for one, even though I am completely vaccinated, I wouldn't mind wearing masks until I was sure that everybody that wanted to be vaccinated got vaccinated. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the whole issue, Scott, is
Yeah.
vaccination skepticism.
Yeah.
And there's been a bunch of studies done on that as to why are people skeptical? And there were 4 primary reasons that they gave. The end result was that 25% of the population will never get vaccinated for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
And there's just that much of an ingrained opinion not to. And it was kind of interesting what some of those reasons were. You know, some of them had to do with people that were all about purity and
Right.
you know, staying away from toxic foods and what you put in your body. And so that has some people forming the opinion that getting vaccinated is changing all that, where in my mind it's not. To me, in my mind, getting vaccinated is like going to the gym and working out. You're making your body stronger, not hurting it in any way. And some of the other reasons had to do with like cultural and religious reasons. And I get that. That's never going to change. And obviously the 800-pound gorilla in the room was the whole issue regarding the politics that revolve around it in the United States, but not in other countries.
Yeah.
So all these things have led to the reason that the study showed that 25% of the population is never going to do it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm pretty comfortable going with a mask until we're at 75%.
Yeah.
The people that want it, and good. And the bigger concern, you and I were talking about it, is when they're doing these measurements, they're only measuring adults.
Yeah.
And that means the entire population under the age of 15 is completely unprotected.
Yeah.
And that's a little concerning to me too, since that's the geriatrics and the very young children are the most fragile part, most valuable part in many ways of our entire society. So I'd want to do my part to make sure I was protecting them too.
Yeah. No, I agree. We'll post up the full information on the
Where are we going to post that?
We will post that on germwashing.com.
What's that?
Well, that's a site where in the early days, let me tell you a story. In the early days of COVID, we started putting up stuff that, you know, there was people spraying their whole bodies down and selling stuff that wasn't registered on EPA. And how about this? There's airlines that were saying that they had the 30-day residual. Whatever happened to that?
Yeah.
If you go to germwashing.com, you can find some of that stuff that went on in the past and in the future. So we'll post up the information about the vaccine info that we just talked about on germwashing.com.
It seems like a perfect vehicle for that, since germwashing.com was an expose of some of the disinfectant theater and sanitizing theater that was going on, mostly fiction.
Yeah.
And, you know, it seems to me that vaccination skepticism is a lot of that is based on somewhat fictitious information, things that, you know, conspiracy theories that have made people afraid.
I don't know. Have you been getting any FM stations through the chip?
Only when I turn my head to the right. So, no.
I noticed if I turn, I got all my shots on this side. If I turn towards the south, I seem to get better reception on that chip as compared. I guess my body's blocking it this way, but you can read about that possibly on germwashing.com too.
It seems like a perfect place to house all these conspiracy theories that are related to vaccinations now instead of just disinfectant claims.
Yeah, we're having a little fun, but I guess one of the positive things on germwashing.com, or one of the things that I noticed is, you know, we used to get a lot of tips about all the crazy stuff that people were saying. It seems to have died down now that things are kind of getting under control. So that's
I know why. Because most of the world actually went to the germwashing.com site, and you know, I'm sure it straightened out everybody that was concerned. So I think we did our social good.
Yeah.
But you know, the best part of the whole thing is that when we're done here, we don't have to put masks back on. But you know what? Next week, Scott, is a milestone. It's a milestone.
Yes, it is. It's Jancast number 100.
100 Jancast.
Yeah, that's on top of all the various other ones that were not called Jancast. We had all the COVID updates, even though they were kind of Jancast. But I mean, it's amazing that the thousands and thousands and thousands of downloads since we started this in 2004. Oh, wait a second. Hold it 1 second. Oh, that's right. We started this in 2004. Oh, what's this? This is an award. And 2005, the ISSA Innovation Award. How about that? Just happens to be right up there.
That's perfect.
Good stuff.
That's perfect.
Good stuff.
So wait till you see what we do for the 100th show.
Yeah, I know we are. Waiting to see what we do.
Yeah, exactly true. Well, thanks everybody, and I'm not putting a mask back on.
Yep. And hey, if you need disinfectant wipes, we have them. Our breakthrough product, Airx Spray and Go, now has a 30-second dwell time for COVID. So that's even better than it was before. So if you need either of those or anything else, we got it here.
Stay tuned to Jancast.com for more good news than you can handle in a day.
Thanks for tuning in, folks.
Thanks.
See ya.